Hey everyone, it's Dave and Bo. She's ready for her close-up, Mr. DeMille? Maybe not. Maybe she's just ready for a nap. So we're gonna head out without her to the rose garden today. Today is Thursday. It is March the 29th, 2024, and we have got a ton of things in bloom, and I can't wait to share them with you. First things first, we've got this beautiful set of genetic dwarf fruit trees. We've got the peach in the background, and we've also got the nectarine in the front. Now, they would have had about the same growth pattern, but a tree limb basically destroyed the nectarine many years ago, and it's just never recovered from that. But I'm going to zoom in to some of these blooms. Absolutely stunning. And this is why I have this plant, is because the blooms are just so overpowering, and of course it's so great so early in the year. Over here, again, really incredible to see this in bloom. And also look at that row of Scilla. Probably a couple hundred bulbs in there, all started from just about 20 or so, and they multiply like crazy, they naturalize, they come up every year, very little care, and great, especially for a woodland type of garden. So what else do we have going on? Look at how many blooms are on this begonia. I'm still not sure if this is the best place for it. You can kind of see that it's gotten a little white over here, a little bleached out. I think it's getting a little bit too much sun because of the angle of the sun right now, but pretty soon it will be shaded. The scaviola that we had cut back just a few weeks ago. I'm looking forward to the new growth coming out on the hemlock there. Got this beautiful dianthus, the daylilies. Each week I'm less and less happy with the placement of this Japanese maple, so I am sure it will find a new home next year. And I felt like saying ta-da. This is the new rose we have of Blue Girl. It is a lavender. It is not blue. They don't really have a blue rose, but this is as close as we get. Very similar to sterling silver, which I have on the other side of the yard, but this is I don't even want to say a newer variety, but it is. But it's been around for many years still. It's not like from the 90s or anything. It's like literally from the 50s or 60s. Behind that, we have the Westringia. It's kind of like a rosemary type plant. The Bacopa, which we also cut back. Fernleaf Hinoki cypress. This is a member of the salvia family. Nothing else really per se in bloom. I'm a little concerned now about this plant over here, the Tabernet Montana. It lived just fine last year, and now it is just being decimated. I almost think that it's being eaten by a grasshopper, but I will keep an eye out for that. We've got lamb's ears and early a bud coming up from the foxglove. But look at this, didn't we just take these out the other day because they were done blooming? The gladiola bulbs. And I will tell you, when I moved these gladiola bulbs a couple years ago, because they were up front, I wanted to put them in the back closer to the fence, thinking they would survive a little bit better, and they do. The bulbs were about the size of softballs. Normally, when you buy gladiola bulbs, they're maybe an inch tall and about 2 or 3 inches wide. These things were gigantic just after a few years. Got the fuchsia back here. We've got a bloom coming up on this white aloe. Shasta daisy clump. I forget the type of grass that is. It's variegated. I need to do a little bit of work back here, which is a lie. I need to do a lot of work back here. Got some irises blooming. I know this looks like a holly, but it is a variegated osmanthus. We do have some buds and leaves coming out, but no focus on the crabapple. So I am super excited about that. Look at the bud coming up there on the gold medal. The irises, not irises, these are lilies, David. Got the olive bush. And I said olive, that's wrong. Almond bush. Sweet pea bush. More of the scilla. I think there's a few more pansies tucked around here. Again, kind of waited too long in the season to plant these. I wish I would have done it earlier. I have to be more better. I don't know if that's correct terminology or grammar, but I have to be better at, as I wait for the car to pass, I do have to be better at planting these at the right time. I didn't buy any bulbs this year because by the time I really thought about it, October, November had passed. And the same thing is just I have to be a little bit more proactive in the plants I want to get at the right time. Look at the spirea back here. It's even got a bud coming up. So exciting. Can't wait for that to open up. We've got still a couple more daffodils that are in bloom. I'm gonna be sad when they're gone. It's one of my favorite flowers. We've got the geranium that's really popped into bloom now. Look at that linaria. I mean, that is just covered in blossoms. Queen Elizabeth rose, Lynn Anderson, and the cherry tree still doing fine, but no buds or anything yet. Over here, got a lot of blooms on the apricot, a lot of foliage coming up. The foxglove in the background looking really good. The Cufea, false heather in white coming into bloom. Looks much better now with that leaf gone. This is one of the roses I moved because it was up front and it was just blocking the bed aesthetically, and I wanted to move it over here against this wall, and it's done really, really good in terms of transplanting. I was a little worried at first, but so far, knock on wood, so good. The sedum back here, Arabian jasmine, a few blooms left on the iris nata. You can see over here some of the dichondra beginning to spread. Luckily, thankfully, the liriope, I've got some new growth coming out. Isotoma blooming a little bit for us, and the campanula over there. Even the dwarf mugo pine slow mound is putting on a little bit of new growth for spring. Still nothing yet from the Japanese maple. I think this one was Red Dragon, if I remember correctly. Just about to cut that bloom off for Color Magic. That was our first bloom of the year that opened up last week. Just Joey. Hopefully will be open soon. And let's take a look at some other plants. I'm super happy now that this has been moved outward from the hedge back there, that this is all leafing out. Should have a really nice canopy, and again, it's kind of meant to give shade to the Japanese maple back here, which again, I'm going to move next winter. This is the Centranthus. I talked to you a little bit about this last week, and Centranthus is just this amazing perennial plant that needs to be in everyone's yard. Doesn't really get disease or anything like that. You cut it back hard once or twice a year, and it just keeps on returning back. And it does seed. That's probably a negative in some gardens, but it will come up here and there. But other than that, I mean, that's really the only downfall. It is something that takes up a good amount of space. Again, you're looking at one plant. This is already about 2 feet by 3 feet in terms of square footage when we look at it from above. And it's a great filler plant, great in between shrubs, and I can't say enough nice things about it. Also, since we're here, let's take a look at the apple tree. The apple tree does have the blooms mostly all done, and some of the apples are beginning to set. I did hack this one back really far this year, and I'm gonna also thin out the amount of apples that it produces. So I just wanted to more miniaturize the tree. It was just getting a little bit way out of hand. And I'm looking forward to these blooming here. See if I can zoom in a little bit. These are the macadamia flowers, and they're absolutely beautiful. It's like, not only is the tree a good looking tree, and again, disease resistant and all that, but the flowers are almost wisteria-like as they fall. All right. The things I got from Mr. Maple last week, look at how nicely this Duardia has leafed out. And even we have some new growth there on, I keep wanting to call it a dogwood. It's a variegated dogwood. Now let's go over here. I worked a little bit, again, kind of removing all the material that was here in the pond. I did leave this. This is a beautiful viola there. Again, something that just seeds. I don't think I've ever planted a white one before. This is Japanese maple bloodgood. Look at those blossoms. Let me try to get out of the sun here. I don't know if I can get a real good shot yet of those. That is Japanese snowdrop, and it is styrax is the botanical name. Over here, we got the gardenias. We've also got a lot of leaves now coming out on the Chiananthus tree, the Japanese fringe tree. Even the taller stems now are beginning to leaf out, which is great. The clivia, about done blooming. So already looking forward to next year's blossoms. I'm also looking forward to this Japanese maple leafing out. Should be just a couple more days. Got some good buds, but no leaf yet. Got the roses from Antique Rose Emporium. Those need to get into the ground. The yellow magnolia tree, which I just kicked up here, protected a little bit from the wind. We are expecting another rainstorm here in SoCal, and we're at 19.5 inches of rain right now. Average is just under 12 inches for the year. So we're about 7 inches above normal, and it looks like 1, 2, even 3 inches of rain coming in depending on where you are within the Los Angeles region. And that is good news for us. That'll be 2 years in a row where we are above 20 inches of rain, and roughly double our normal rainfall. And coming out of drought years and water rationing, I just don't want to do either anymore. No fun. Over here, look at that heliotrope coming into bloom. Look at all those blooms on the osteo there, the African daisy. Unfortunately, the February silver has come and gone. Again, we've got a couple of blossoms here, but they'll be done in a couple of days. The Monarda, though, that's beginning to grow. And look at that massive area that it's taking up. This was, oh, it's even coming up in the rocks as well. This was a 4-inch pot that I bought from White Flower Farms, and they're out of Connecticut. Definitely give them a shout out. They are a fantastic company. They have a great assortment of material, fast shipping, decent prices as well. We've got a small columbine over here, some Irish moss, a really cool Chamaecyparis that I don't know if you can see too well against the ivy there. This is another African daisy. Look at the Shishigashira, Japanese maple. We've got a variegated centigeranium, the columbine from last week. Look at all those beautiful blossoms of that heliotrope. That's the common color. I can't remember the botanical, but it's mint bush, and it is very fragrant when you brush up against it. Not necessarily mint flavor. Variegated alstroemeria. I gotta go and cut back around this little succulent here. It's gonna be taken over by the creeping Charlie. Look at those red vein chard back there. That is just an ornamental. Cool little juniper there. The Dahlia and its relatives right around here. Remember, we got that from Andy's Orchids. And we also got that from Andy's Orchids. No buds or anything yet from this Japanese maple. The Boston fern, again, relative of the Boston fern, looking good. I did cut back, too much bright light there. I did cut, let me go over on the other side. That is a pittosporum that has seeded. So I hope it does have some blossoms, because that gives you an orange blossom scent. Got a lot of root suckers coming up from this crimson bouquet tree rose. So it's always good. Cut these back as soon as you can, because you can see how much energy this is just sucking out of the plant. So get rid of that as soon as possible. Got a lot of bee balm, not bee balm, maybe it is lemon balm, excuse me. Lemon balm coming up here. Daylily, a few more scilla, which have kind of just come everywhere. A couple of the geranium blossoms. The leucojum, that's pretty much done. I'll cut those at least halfway back. Chamaecyparis primo there. And really nice begonia back there. Yeah, we won't say anything. Air conditioning unit. And look at all the lavender there as well. That needs to be cut back. It needs to be moved. I need to redo this section as well, because we're about 2 to 3 months before hot summer heat already, which is scary to think about. But this is reflected heat. It's kind of one of the reasons too I did the Eugenia there, the dwarf Eugenia, which is now 7 foot tall, is to help with the reflective heat. And some scillas down here at the base. Over here, still have a lot of blooms on the pink breath of heaven, the diosma. We've got 1 or 2 more blooms left on the magnolia. But again, look how airy it is, how nicely thinned. and laced out it is. Again, just one of my favorite all-time trees for the yard. And I think we will end just like we did at the beginning with Bo. So Bo and I will see you next week, and until then.